All right, today we're going to break down 4 huge lessons on power from the master strategist himself, Robert Greene. And look, this isn't some dry academic theory. We're talking about the real, psychological tools that have been shaping history for centuries. So let's get right into what really makes power work.
And this right here, this is the core idea you have to get. Greene's whole argument is that real power isn't about your job title or how much money you make. It's about mastering human psychology. The people who get ahead, they don't just have better stats on a spreadsheet, they get the invisible forces, perception, motivation, influence, that actually drive what people do.
So, where does this whole psychological game even start? Well, for Greene, it begins with the absolute foundation, your skills. Because, before you can influence the world, you got to build yourself up first. And in that journey, the most valuable things you have are the actual practical skills you pick up along the way.
I want you to think about it like this. If you don't have any tangible skills, you're kind of just wandering in the wilderness, right? Drifting from one thing to the next with no real path. But when you start actively collecting skills, you're paving your own road forward. Each skill is like a gold coin you lay down, a currency that gives you options, opens doors, and lets you build something real.
And look, Greene's own life is the perfect example of this. For years, he felt totally lost. As a journalist, he learned how to write with a deadline breathing down his neck. As a novelist, he figured out how to tell a really compelling story. In Hollywood, he mastered research and a sense of drama. None of those jobs felt like the one, but he was unknowingly collecting his gold coins. Each step gave him one more crucial skill he eventually fused together to create his masterpiece.
18 years. Yeah, that's how long Greene was in his so-called wilderness period. Just gathering these skills. He said he was often miserable, didn't have a clue where he was going, but he was building that foundation for his future. It just goes to show you, real skill isn't some overnight hack. It takes patience, and you gotta trust the process.
And you know what? There's actual science to back this up. It's called neuroplasticity. Greene often points to research that shows when you develop a skill, you're not just learning a new trick. You are literally rewiring your brain. Your thoughts, your practice, all that non-physical stuff is changing the physical matter inside your head. You become someone different, someone more capable.
Okay, so you're building your skills. What's next? Well, this is where it gets really personal. Lesson 2 is all about leaning into what makes you different, because that's where your real power is hiding.
This is the cold, hard truth of the world we live in now. If someone else can do exactly what you do, eventually they're gonna find someone who'll do it for cheaper. So the only real defense, the only way to have any lasting power, is to make yourself utterly irreplaceable.
So you've basically got 2 paths in front of you. On one side, you've got conformity. It's the easy path for sure. You fit in, you don't make waves, but you also become invisible and eventually replaceable. On the other side is uniqueness. It takes courage to stand out, to be different, but that's where you become irreplaceable. That's where you find real power.
So here's the takeaway. Those things about you that you might be tempted to hide, your weird quirks, your odd hobbies, that little voice inside that tells you to do things differently from everyone else, that's not noise you should ignore. That's the signal. That's the raw material of your unique power. Don't you dare drown it out.
And if you want proof, look no further than Greene himself. When he first wrote The 48 Laws of Power, his publisher totally freaked out. The book was weird. It had all these historical stories in this strange, fragmented style. They begged him to make it more normal. He flat out refused. He knew the book's strangeness was actually its strengths. And guess what? He was right. That unique format is the very reason it exploded and became a global phenomenon.
All right, let's move on to our third lesson. You've got your skills, you're embracing what makes you unique. Now you have to control how the world sees you. It's time to master your reputation.
Your reputation, you have to understand, is a powerful psychological weapon. It walks into the room before you do. It can win battles for you before you even have to fight. I mean, if people believe you're brilliant or formidable or even ruthless, they're going to act differently around you. It's like an invisible force multiplier for everything you do.
So, how do you manage it? Well, first off, you have to be the one to define it. Don't ever let other people write your story for you. Second, be consistent. A strong reputation needs a solid, predictable core. And last, and this is crucial, you have to guard it with your life. Because the second it starts to slip, you become a target. And as you're about to see, credibility is a one-way street.
Let that just sink in for a second. This might be one of the most important rules in the entire game of power. You can lose your money and earn it back. You can lose a job and find a new one. But the moment you sell out your credibility, it's gone. Forever. There is absolutely no return policy.
And now for our final lesson. This one is, well, it's a bit of a mind bender. We're always told to avoid stress and run away from pressure. But Greene says, if you want to do something truly great, you have to actively create pressure for yourself.
This is a total reframing of how we think about stress. Our brains didn't evolve to be calm and relaxed all the time. They evolved to solve urgent problems under intense pressure. That pressure is what focuses the mind. It's what creates energy. Greene argues that boredom, a lack of urgency, a lack of challenge, is way more dangerous to your potential than stress ever will be.
And Thomas Edison is the perfect case study for this. First, he makes this huge public promise: I'm going to invent the light bulb. Then he doubles down, creating insane expectations by vowing to light up all of New York City. He used all that public pressure as fuel, forcing himself and his team to work like their lives depended on it. And in the end, driven by that pressure he created for himself, he did the impossible.
So, let's tie all of this together. There's one core mindset that runs underneath all four of these lessons. It's a fundamental choice you have to make between two ways of looking at the world: certainty versus wonder.
Now that's a pretty provocative thing to say, but Greene's point is that certainty is a trap. The second you think you have everything figured out, you stop learning. You stop seeing the world for what it really is. You become rigid, and that intellectual arrogance isn't just a sign of being foolish, it's a profound sign of weakness.
So here it is, the final choice, laid out plain and simple. You've got the cynic, who thinks they know all the answers. They reduce the beautiful complexity of life down to some simple, ugly formula. They close themselves off from possibility. And then you have the genius, like an Einstein, who keeps that childlike sense of wonder. They're always questioning, always open to mystery. That's where real intelligence and ultimately real power comes from.
And that's really the question this all boils down to, isn't it? Will you live with the illusion of certainty, or will you embrace the power of wonder? One path leads to stagnation. The other leads to the skills, the uniqueness, the reputation, and the drive that create genuine power. The choice is yours.